Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're all doing okay. I know we're about 2.5 weeks into the lockdown over here in the UK, and it has been difficult. It's really bizarre because the sun's out, the birds are singing, yet when you turn the news on and you see the reality of the situation across the whole world, it is dark times for some people. So I hope you're all very well. Same goes for your families. I wanted to give you a little bit of background about this video we're about to watch because it is some archive footage from the beginning of 2017. For those of you long-term subscribers, you know that I had and I still have quite an obsession with ALPINAs, and in fact ALPINA UK were the first people ever to lend me a demo press car at the end of 2014. I then worked with them for a good few years and produced a lot of content, and I absolutely fell in love with the brand. Fast forward to February or March 2017, and I actually flew out to Munich and the ALPINA headquarters. They invited me out there to road test their flagship ALPINA B7, which is based on a 7 Series, 600 horsepower, etc. And I met my good friend Robert from Heel and Toe blog, who is also German, out there. Together we shot loads of content on this car. We had a great trip, and right at the end of the trip, ALPINA said to me, would you like to interview our CEO, Andreas Bovensiepen, for 10-15 minutes in his office? So obviously the answer to that was yes. Andreas came down, met me in reception, and then suggested that we did the interview in the B7. So of course I jumped at that chance. Now many of you might have seen that video already. I think it's done well over 300,000 views. It was around an hour long as well, but it's definitely one of my most popular videos. And the majority of that is down to the fact that it is a really fascinating interview. So I'll put the link to the interview in the description below, and in fact on a flag up here. If you haven't watched that and you've got an hour to kill, I suggest you do. You can play it in the background like a podcast as well, but there's some really interesting parts of that video, including we get up to 200 miles an hour during this interview. It was legendary, and I still pinch myself to this day to think that I was fortunate enough to do that. Now, my 10 to 15 minutes promise of an interview turned into something like 90 minutes. We destroyed a whole tank of super unleaded, I think 75 litres in that B7, and we came back 90 minutes later with an empty tank and probably quite worn tyres because he was driving that B7 so hard, but it was just an opportunity of a lifetime. Before saying goodbye, he then suggested, or insisted actually, that I jumped in the front and took him for a quick drive in the B7 because, in his words, I was the chauffeur and he wanted to sit in the back and chill out. So we did that, and that's the video that you're about to see. Unfortunately, some of the cameras, in fact 2 of the 3 cameras, I can't find the footage for, and I lost the main source of sound as well. So the sound for me isn't too bad, but for him it's not great, so you might need to turn it up to hear what he's actually saying. But it's not tragic, and I thought it was definitely worth putting together for a video, especially with hard times at the moment. I can't go out and shoot my regular content, so I'm just going through my archives. A lot of people ask me what happened to my relationship with ALPINA and why I haven't shot anything with them for years. The truth of the matter is that unfortunately Sytner, who sort of own and manage ALPINA here in the UK, stopped insuring their demos and press cars for YouTubers or for general press unless we got the car insured ourselves. That's very difficult for me to do, especially back then where I had no money and I was pumping loads of money into YouTube. I can't afford to insure a car, especially when I know I'm going to produce a lot of good content and positive content around a certain manufacturer. So it left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and I didn't step away from the brand, but I just haven't approached them since. Although I love Gary and in fact Rollini, who is back working at Nottingham ALPINA, is a good friend of mine now, and our friendship started from the ALPINA days back in 2015, 2016. Moving forward, I've reached out to Germany recently, and in fact I'm going to go out there hopefully later this year, depending on what happens with COVID-19, and film some stuff on their new cars like the B3 and the B3 Touring that I get a lot of requests for. So our relationship is going to start again, and we're going to hopefully shoot lots and lots of good content. But this particular video, I really hope that you enjoy it. It's very random, but it's one of those memories that I can't believe ever happened, and I really hope to repeat it one day with Andreas. Nicest guy ever. To think back then I had such a small following and he was so accommodating and a real big fan of what I did and what I do. So yeah, it was a real amazing time, and hopefully one day we can repeat it together. So I hope you enjoy this video. Please stay safe, and I'll see you at the next one. Right, so we're going on a bit of a chauffeur drive now.
Yeah, completely. 100%.
And you can take me back to that road quickly. We could just go down that road.
Good.
You could direct me to there, because I haven't tried the summer tyres yet,
okay,
so I'm keen to try.
And what did you do in the fashion business? Left?
Okay, so I was a booker, a model booker, like an agent.
Okay.
So I worked for a company called Storm, who had Kate Moss, and it was one of the biggest in London.
Okay.
Booking female models on jobs, and it was good. I enjoyed certain aspects of it. It was great, but being stuck behind a computer for most of the time was not me. I like being out and about. So again, being a chauffeur, you don't know what's going to happen next week. You're going to be here, there, everywhere. So I started doing my YouTube channel, and I was getting very good feedback, and I just enjoyed doing it. I enjoy talking about cars. I'm passionate about it, and I think it shows. I get very excited on video. So and then it's just grown. But ALPINA UK have always been amazing to me. They're the first people to lend me a press car. About 2 years ago, I think. The XD3, it was my first. I didn't make a video about it because I wasn't doing YouTube then, but it was when I had two big clients. I won't mention them on camera, but they're two high-end fashion clients.
To the right.
Yeah, to the right here. And actually, when I had this XD3, it was a red XD3 with black 21-inch wheels. So it was a proper, real gangster.
I can remember this.
Yeah.
I remember it.
Yeah, and then we got some pictures in the paper the next day with one of the girls stepping out of the back, and you saw the ALPINA badge, and
that's cool.
And that was Stripling, Matthew Stripling at the time, and ever since then I had they've just been very good, and then Jonathan Noy's been Gary. So ALPINA, really, I was saying this to Andreas, they've been responsible for a lot of what I've done.
Yeah, if you come back, you can
do a bit of drifting.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's put it in. So we're in Sport Plus now.
Yeah, good.
So we're just going to step up the bass a bit now. I can feel immediately on the summers, it's just stuck, like absolutely stable, but I've already felt that with you in the car.
It's a narrow.
Yeah. You tell me if I'm...
you go as you like, but I have to say I'm a very bad passenger.
Okay, I won't go too fast then.
You go as you like.
No. I don't want to make you nervous.
No.
Yeah.
If you are used to go at the limit, no problem.
I do. It's just even though I've had this car for 4 days, obviously being a left-hand drive and it's a big car, it's harder to sort of get the. But I'm not going to go too fast. But I can just feel now.
You feel it very precise. The steering is quite precise.
It's very precise. And yeah, completely different on summers. I mean, I was impressed on winters. This thing is just... Wow. And the ride is just so good. It's so planted, it's...
Okay, it's Sport Plus. The car lowers by 1 inch.
Yep.
1 inch. So it's a little bit harder, not as refined so you feel the bumps a little bit.
Sure.
Of course, it's same for these kind of roads. It's perfect.
Sure.
Yeah, handling wise, you won't think that there's a long wheelbase 7.
I know. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. How is this a 7 Series? Huh?
Yeah, it's so precise.
It's unbelievable.
We have very good people in our suspension engineering.
Yep.
So the calibration of the steering, electric steering is new.
Yeah, the steering feel is another thing that's just great. Again, on such a big car, electric setup, there's a lot of feel here. And also it's not too heavy. I find with a lot of the BMWs now that you put it in sports and it's like, oh, you don't want, like, comfort is my, you know, I've got an M2, I've just got rid of it, I had an M2. And in comfort, the steering was much better, like all BMW setup. Sports, it's too, what's the word? It's too fake in sports. But this is perfect. It's just lovely, this car. I'm gonna miss it every time I have an Alpina press car. I miss it. Like, I feel like a girlfriend has left me when I leave it. And it's just like, it's so organic. I just love it. This is the most surreal chauffeur experience ever.
No, the craziest chauffeur experience was, do you know the video with, I think it was an M5 in New York?
Yes.
Guy Ritchie and
oh, it's the best.
Where she was going from left to right in the rear. This was absolutely.
It's brilliant, wasn't it?
You have to go back into chauffeur mode.
Back into chauffeur mode. Okay, so comfort. Let's go comfort plus. Out there. Here we go. Deadly quiet.
No, especially when you mentioned now with the steering wheel and these kind of stuff.
Yep.
So there's when we do our cars, we look for, if possible, for one perfect setup.
Yep.
Of course, if you have a very fast car like this, then it's very helpful to have the adjustable dampers. But especially with the steering, for me, there's no need or hardly any need to have a big difference in steering. Steering power you need whether you are in comfort or sport.
Yep, I agree.
There's a lot of marketing stuff in it.
Yep.
Because every big manufacturer is thinking, okay, sporty is if it's very heavy. Sporty is, for example, if you look at a throttle, then the throttle is very responsive in the first 5 millimeters if you push it.
Yes.
But it's completely crazy. But because if
you're on the limit,
if you're on the limit, it's difficult. And the second thing, if you go slow, like in town traffic,
left here,
you can go straight. If you like.
Yeah.
Now we go once through the town, so I can feel your chauffeur driving. So if you, for example, we have always a linear throttle, which means if the throttle is 50% open, you have 50% of the wheel travel.
Sure.
But a lot of car manufacturers, they make it like, oh, if you push the pedal the first 20% pedal travel,
is 80% power.
Yes. And if you go slow, for example, in town traffic, the passenger is thinking, what is such a bad driver? I'm always hitting the car like this. Is he not able to adjust his right foot? Yeah,
that's so true.
And this wouldn't work in racing as well.
No.
And it was so funny. There was once a long time ago, we go straight.
Yep.
Once there was an interview with Ayrton Senna when he finished third or second in Monaco in a Tollman. So in a really shit car.
Yes.
I think he finished third or second. And the journalist asked him, in the rain you were flying, what did you do out of this shit of car? How could you manage to finish second or third?
Yeah.
What is the secret behind? And then he said, okay, first, of course, I'm a brilliant driver, but to be brilliant, I have some help.
Yes.
I always speak to my engineers. I said I have a throttle which has a lot of pedal travel, because then I'm much better able to
modulate the power.
Yep. And I'm not looking for the smallest steering wheel. I'm looking always for a bigger steering wheel, because I can react much more smoother at the steering as well.
Yep.
And if you look, for example, in some marketing departments of big companies, we go left, left, left,
Oh, sorry.
left, left, we go right, right. If you look in marketing departments of big manufacturers, our base car has to be very sporty. What can we do? Oh, we have not much horsepower. Okay, make the throttle set up like it looks like we have a lot of horsepower.
Yeah.
If it's only initially, but it looks like.
Yeah, and
Make
put a
the
small
steering
wheel.
very heavy and a small steering wheel, so we have a sporty car.
Yeah.
And finally, what happens? The car gets tricky to drive, gets
Yeah.
difficult to drive. And get exhausting to drive.
Yes.
Okay, if you have a small car with 50 horsepower and you don't go fast, or it's 100 horsepower, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you have a car like a Porsche or like then it gets very exhausting, because if the steering is too direct, for example, too heavy and too direct, you go fast.
Yep.
You are not in every fraction of a second 100% concentrated, because you listen music, you talk to a passenger,
Yep.
and if suddenly maybe you come a little bit too much to the right or to the left, you have to correct.
Yes,
And
yeah.
if you correct quickly and you have a very direct steering, you go like a rabbit, like chuck, 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 and the car gets nervous.
Yeah.
Everything gets nervous.
Unbalanced, yeah.
And unbalanced. And that's now the thing you don't need to have.
Yes.
You don't need to have in a race car, and you don't need to have in a road car as well.
Yep.
So when we stepped back into racing in 2009, some people of us laughed at us when we decided for the 6 Series Coupe to make a GT3 car out of it.
Sure.
With the 6 Series, we will never be able to win any race. And I said, no, I'm convinced that the car is good, because we were in the wind tunnel and the car has a lot of downforce, which is very good for fast cornering.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have a Toki engine. We have a low center of gravity, so now we can park inside.
Just here or inside?
Yeah, you can stay here.
Yeah. Right, okay. Yeah, that's
And what this was really a secret behind our car, and finally we managed to win the German GT3 championship. It was 44 competitors in the races.
yeah.
There was Audi, there were Mercedes SLS, there were the Porsche 911, there were the Corvettes, Ferrari 458, the Lamborghinis,
Yeah.
and we won the championship with 20 people involved in the race teams. Have developed the whole car on our own,
Yeah.
no help whatsoever.
And no past history. It's not a car that's been
No.
progressing. It's just boom, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course we need 3 years to win the championship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But of course, if you come back into racing,
Yeah.
and of course to have to change more parts on a 6 Series Coupe than if you to compete against the Ferrari 458, because basically it's more a race car than a 6 Series.
Of course.
But I was involved in the test drives as well, and I raced a 24-hour race in the car as well in 2009, and we finished. But still, my target there was again, the car has to be easy to drive,
Yeah.
to be not too reactive at the steering, to be easy on the throttle. And then there was, for example, I remember I think it was the first race in 2011 as the start into the season. It started to rain before the start of the, so 20 minutes before the start there was one heavy rain shower.
Sure.
And everybody thought difficult. I looked, okay, is there any clouds around? I thought no, clouds are going away. I looked, what is the track temperature? And I said, okay, the track temperature is not like 8 degrees or 10 degrees Celsius. It's, I think it was some kinds of 15, I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm sure after 5 days, latest after 5 laps, the track will start to dry.
Yeah.
So I said to my pilot, I recommend you go for, you finally, the driver has to decide, but I said, if you go out on slick tires, of course you have trouble, maybe you, I think he was in the second row at the starting grid.
Yeah.
I said, maybe you lose, in the first 3 laps, you fell back to 10th position, because it's difficult in the first 2 or 3 laps, but I think it will start to dry within the 2nd or 3rd lap, and we have an advantage, and if we go on slicks, we will win the race.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, why not? Let's go on slicks, because he know still if I go out on slicks and the lap for 2 and the tarmac is a little bit wet. It was a rough tarmac, but I'm not afraid in this car.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit slippy. I have to drift.
But not too nervous. It's not nervous.
I have not to be nervous. Not like in Porsche 911 where no, oh no, if I have
snap.
if I have snap oversteer in a
It's
small
over.
corner, I have a lot of understeer.
Yeah.
So the car is not undrivable. It's good drivable. Okay, in the first 2 laps it is difficult, but not undrivable.
Yeah.
And finally we won the race.
Wow.
And had chance, we had chance to lead in the championship
Yeah.
from the first race on, and this was good. Yeah. Then we fall back to second in the race. We have had one technical problem, and I think in the second or third race.
Yeah.
But then we was always first or second in the championship. Most of the time second, and then finally in the last race weekend we won the championship.
Oh.
But this is good to have a car which has very good drivability and easy to handling. And due to the long wheelbase,
Yeah.
it's 2.80 meters, Formula 1 is 3 meters.
Yeah.
So the car was perfect.
Wow.
And I remember we were at Silverstone, and for not for the German championship, it was a European championship race.
Yep.
And Silverstone, you know, you have such a lot of fast corners.
Yeah.
And in practice, we were 9/10. We did pole position. We were 9/10 faster than everybody else. Though the one driver from us, Dino Lunardi, a French guy, he said, so on my quick lap I was behind, or I came in the slipstream of a Ferrari 458, and I saw the guy in a fast corner, he fought with understeer, and I made 50 meters in one corner to come closer.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know whether he has the newest tires on,
Yeah.
but
just
he
from
said
that
the
one
car-
moment.
The car was so incredible.
Yeah.
I had a perfect lap.
Yeah. It just, it's amazing.
So this is a lot of, if you know the technique, if you have the knowledge behind engineering-wise,
Yep.
you make a better car instead of only, a sporty car has to be a hard suspension,
Yep.
has to be a heavy steering, has to be such a kind of strange things. No,
Sure.
it's not like this.
No.
Still our road cars, if you go on the Notschleife, yes, the damping is, if you go to the maximum fast, is
Yep.
too soft.
Sure.
An M3, M4 would be better on the Notschleife, but still the car is increasingly and often a surprise to the journalists because the car was a little bit too soft in bound
Yeah.
and rebound, but I was amazed how fast the car was.
You go, yeah.
What's the reason? I said, yes, you had hardly any understeer because I had hate understeer, so I had a fast turn in.
Yeah.
You had a perfect line. Okay, the car was a little bit too soft. Okay, if the dampers would be more strict, maybe you could go the Notschleife 5 seconds faster, but still,
Yeah.
besides this a little bit too soft damping, the car was perfect.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
of course, then an M4 is a little bit more stiff. But it's more a race car, you know.
Yeah, well, I think that's, if you jump from an
But to
M4.
have this balance.
The balance is the important thing, and I think Steve Sutcliffe, another UK big Alpina fan, he did that the S, I think it's called the Snake course. He did the M4 versus the D3.
Yeah, I know this video.
It's a brilliant, and that sums what you were just talking
easy,
about.
Controllable.
Oh,
the D3.
and you see him in the M4 fighting,
Yes.
and the D3, he's just like, this is crazy. And I think even when he looked at the times, he was still expecting the M4 to be faster, and it wasn't. And that sums it up. I think, and I always say that about, like I had an M2, I loved it, but on the British roads through a bumpy corner, you'd get through the corner quicker in this than the M2 because this is balanced.
Because
it doesn't get unsettled. It just you know where you are. In the M2, you're nervous and it's snappy, which is fun and exciting, but. Not all, you don't want in an M2 or an M car, sometimes you just want to go off, and that's what this car does. You can just go, you know what, let's just turn all this off, settles down, and it turns. But anyway.
So if you like to go on a motorway quickly, you can do so.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah. You sure that's okay?
Yes.
Okay, well, you're the boss.
Right then, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that video. Yeah, I just love watching it back. I've loved editing this video because it's relived those memories. I will see you very soon at another video. Auto ID have just delivered a parcel to me, actually, little present from Jack. So I think this might be something for my M2. So stay tuned for that and everything else. Take it easy, guys. Cheers.